Students, welcome back to my channel. We will solve POR, ADF, RMI related questions from RK Bali. So far we have done a few questions. In this video we will start with new questions which will be the next in order, and so on and so forth. We will solve each and every question with explanation and conceptual understanding. So let's start with first question, which is question number 5 in RK Bali book. Aircraft is on a radial of 120. Heading is 300. OBS selection is 330. What will CDI show? So aircraft is on radial 120. So this is your VOR. You are looking at this picture from the top. This is your radial 120. Okay. Heading of aircraft is 300. OBS selection is 330. Now the reciprocal of 120 is radial 300. OBS selection done by the pilot is 330, which is radial 150. So this is your diagram. Okay. 150 reciprocal of 330, 120 and 300 are reciprocal of each other. Heading of aircraft is 300. So that means aircraft is on radial 120, and along this radial it is flying inbound, directly inbound towards the VOR on a heading of 300. Now since it is located on the radial, okay, and the CDI needle will remain in the center. The CDI needle will remain in the center. So I will draw OBS. There are two possibilities. Since you are on radial 120, you can put radial 120. You will get from indication CDI in the center. Or now since as given in this example, aircraft is flying towards the station, so the right way will be to put 300, get two indication, and the CDI stays in the center. Okay, because aircraft is on the center line of the radial. Now when you now this is your initial 300. So you will fly towards VOR, overfly and transition to radial 300. Now if you want to change from 300 to 330, okay, so what track will you have to fly? Now in order to go to 300, which is your radial 300, you are flying along radial 120, right? So to go on radial 330, you will have to fly along the reciprocal of that, which is radial 150. So in the similar manner, you will fly radial 150 inbound towards the VOR and then transition to radial 330. So what will you do from your present position? You will turn left hand side. You will turn left hand side, intercept this radial and then fly towards the VOR. Then fly towards the VOR like this. Okay. Towards the VOR, overfly the VOR and then go to radial 330. So this is the proper procedure. Okay. If the question had stated OBS 300, OBS 300 instead of 330, all the plane would have had to do is fly straight towards the VOR, go to 300. But since OBS is 330, so the opposite of 330 you have to draw 150, because we are on this side of the VOR. We are not on this side of the VOR yet. So to go on that side, we will have to start from this side, overfly the VOR and then go to that side. And to do that, to achieve that, from this current position, you will first have to turn left, intercept radial 150. After intercepting, you have two options. You can fly outbound or you can go homebound. You will have to fly homebound. Okay. So your OBS selection according to the question is radial 330, OBS selection 330. You get a 2 indication for sure, but the CDI needle will be moving towards left hand side, which is to the left of radial 120. Okay, since you're going homebound. If going outbound, 150 is to the right of 120. So if the Whether you're going homebound or outbound, that is most important. Okay, according to that, the perspective changes. So the CDI will show fly left, and how many dots? The difference between them is 30 degree, right? So maximum CDI can show 10-degree deflection. So that means fly left with more than 10-degree deflection is what CDI will show, and the indication will be two indication. The indication will be two indication. Okay, so next question. Question number 6. OBS is 090 and it is showing two indication. CDI tells you that fly right and what radial you are situated on. So simple. Draw a VOR. They are talking about 090. So let's draw radial 090, radial 270. Now if you are getting two indication, that means you are flying towards the VOR. You are flying towards the VOR. Okay, towards the VOR. And OBS selection is therefore done at 090. At 090, two indication. Now, if you are correctly on radial 270 flying homebound, the CDI needle stays in the center. But in the question, the CDI needle has moved right hand side. The CDI needle has moved right hand side. That means you are not on radial 270. You are somewhere to the left of it. What the CDI tells? CDI tells you to fly whether left or right depending on your deviation from the OBS selection. Okay, now going homebound, this is your left hand side, this is your right hand side. If CDI tells you to go right, that means you are somewhere to the left. Okay, that is the problem. The problem is you are to the left of 090 OBS and therefore CDI is forced to tell you to fly right. So now half right. Now the total dots on CDI indication is 5 dots. Okay, where 1 dot is equal to 2 degree for VOR and therefore half of that. So total is 10 degree. So half of that is 5 degree. So 5 degree is nothing but how many dots? 2.5 dots. Okay. So half total deflection, total VOR deflection maximum is 10 degree. 2 degree per dot. So for 5 dots it will be 10 degree. Half of that will be 5 degree. So the CDI has moved half right. So that means aircraft, if CDI moves 5 degree right, aircraft is 5 degree left side. Aircraft is to the 5 degree left of the OBS selection. So if OBS is inbound 090, aircraft is to the left of it. So left of it means it will be on radial 275. It will be on radial 275. Okay. Going homebound, this is your left side, this is your right side. CDI has moved 5 degree to the right. That means aircraft is to the 5 degree left. So going homebound, this is your left side. So aircraft is actually somewhere. Aircraft is actually somewhere here. And what is that radial? That radial will be radial 275, 270, 271, 272. So 5 degree to the right of 270 will be 275. Okay, so aircraft is situated on radial 275 and flying homebound. Okay, with a 2 indication. Okay, but you are supposed to fly on radial 270 and go homebound. Instead of flying on 275, you have to supposed to fly 270 because that is the setting you have put 090. If you were intending to fly on radial 275, the correct OBS setting would have been The correct OBS setting in that case would have been the reciprocal of 275, which is 095, 2 indication, and in that case the needle would have stayed in the center. But the moment you change that from 095 to 090, you will be asked to make a right turn, intercept radial 270 and go towards 090. So let's go to next question, question 7. Aircraft is flying towards a station, very important. Heading is 210, drift is 10 degrees starboard, CDI shows 2 dots fly left indication. So that means, and there is to and from is showing from. So this will definitely be an example of reverse sensing, because you are told that you are flying towards the station, but the CDI is showing you from. So that means OBS selection is wrong. Now if heading is 210, drift is 10 degrees starboard. So with a starboard drift, your heading is less than track. So if heading is 210, track will be 220. Track will be 220. Okay. And you are flying towards the station. So this track is nothing but your QDM, which is 220. If QDM is 220, QDR, which is the radial, will be reciprocal of 220, which will be 040. Okay, 040. Now the first question asks you to find relative bearing. Relative bearing is what? Relative bearing is magnetic bearing to the station minus magnetic heading. So let's substitute the values. Magnetic bearing to the station, which is QDM, is 220. Magnetic heading given is 210. Okay. So answer is relative bearing equals to 10 degrees. Relative bearing is 10 degrees. Very simple. How? So this is your NDB station. This is your north datum. The track to the station is 220. Heading of aircraft is 210. Relative bearing will be angle between heading of aircraft and track towards the station, which will be equal to like this, 10 degree. So station is 10 degree to the right hand side of the aircraft heading. So first part is done. Now OBS selection. So now aircraft is on radial 040. QDR is 040. Aircraft is situated on radial 040. But the CDI is showing 2 dots fly left with a from indication. So we will understand this. This is your VOR. Aircraft is on radial 040. So let's draw radial 040. If you are getting a from indication, so let's say you are getting from indication, that means aircraft has put 040 here and the CDI needle will remain in the center. Okay. Aircraft is on radial 040 somewhere here. When he puts 040, the CDI needle will also remain in the center. Now the CDI needle will move left or right. The CDI needle will move left or right if OBS selection anything else than 040. Okay. If you have put a selection which is other than 040, accordingly the CDI will move left or right. So now here in this example, the CDI is showing you two dots fly left, two dots fly left, the from indication. So with a from indication, that means you're going outbound from VOR. Okay, the obvious setting that you have put is with respect to outbound radial. Now when going outbound, this is your left hand direction, this is your right hand direction. Okay, two dots fly left. So if CDI is telling you two dots fly left, that means you are to the right of the selected radial. So that means the selected radial is somewhat to the left of 040. You are on 040. The radial or the selection that you have put in the OBS is less than 040. Why less than 040? Because CDI is telling you fly left. When you go left, angles decrease. So two dots. One dot is equal to 2 degree. So two dots will be equal to 4 degree. So 4 degree left. That means 040 minus 4 is radial 036. So that means in reality the pilot has set his OBS setting on 036. He gets a from indication and the CDI needle has moved two dots to the left hand side. The CDI needle has moved two dots to the left hand side. Okay. So the answer to this is OBS setting is 036. Although aircraft is on radial 040, the setting is 036. That's why it's getting two dots fly left. If pilot had said 040, the CDI needle would have remained in the center. The next thing we have to find out is distance off track. If distance gone is 90 nautical miles. So same. Over here, we will draw the question diagram again. We have radial 36. We have radial 036. We have radial 040. Okay, and we actually in reality we are flying inbound towards the aircraft VOR. Okay, although we have put a setting in the OBS which is from indication, that is reverse sensing, that is fine, but we are flying towards VOR. So that means our aircraft is here. The distance towards the VOR is how much? 90. The angle, this angle is how much? 4 degrees. And now we are told to find distance off track, which is this. Okay, so as you understand, the CDI tells you how many angles you are to the left or right of the selected track. Okay, so in this case, you are 4 degree to the right of 036 if you are going outbound. Okay, so from CDI you can determine angular distance, which is 4 degree, and you can also convert that angular distance into corresponding distance in nautical miles. So that is also possible. So we will do that now. So using 1 in 60 rule, angle equals to what? Distance off track divided by distance gone into 60. So 4 into 60. So it is 6 nautical mile. It is 6 nautical mile. So distance off track is 6 nautical mile. Okay. So this is how you do this sum. So starting, we first found relative bearing, which is a product of magnetic heading and magnetic track. Now in this case, you are flying towards the station. So the track that we found from drift is directly QDM. Okay. From that we found QDR, which is the radial where we are situated on. Okay. So after finding RBI, we proceeded to OBS selection. So the radial we are situated on is 040. But OBS selection is something else because CDI needle is telling you to fly left. So that means in the OBS you have not put 040, but you have put some other thing. Okay, so fly left with from indication. So from indication is another hint that your radial is 036 and not anything else. Okay, so from indication, that means all your relation fly left, fly right are with respect to flying outbound. So you have to think that way. You're flying outbound, think like that, you're flying outbound. So going outbound, that is your left side, this is your right side. And therefore two dots fly left means the OBS selected radial is to the left hand side of 040. Okay, next. Question 8. Aircraft flies from one VOR to another VOR. So VOR A to VOR B. Okay, and there is a midway distance where you have to change your frequency from VOR A frequency to VOR B frequency. Okay, so at this changeover point, you change your frequency from VOR A to VOR B. Now you leave VOR A on track 120. So that means the track from VOR A, that is QDR radial 120. Okay, 120. Next, CDI shows two dots fly right indication. So going outbound, this is your left hand side, this is your right hand side. So you are getting a fly right indication. That means aircraft is not exactly on the radial but somewhere to the left of it. Somewhere here. Okay, somewhere here. So two dots fly right. Next, halfway, that is halfway at changeover point, the pilot switches to the next VOR frequency. What will be the new indication of CDI? So the new indication of CDI will be what? So to get a normal sensing, always you have to work on normal sensing. In your OBS, you will keep 120 constant OBS setting. The to and from indication will switch from. Okay, over here, as long as you are tuned to VORA frequency, you will have 120 in the OBS selector, from indication shown to you, and fly right indication. Okay, fly right indication. When you change over to the next VOR, what will happen? 120 stays constant. The to and from indicator will automatically change towards to, and the CDI will remain in the right hand side. Same. What changes is from becomes to, because now beyond the changeover point you are flying towards that VORB. Okay, you are flying towards that VORB, but you are flying on radial. The radial will be opposite of 120, which is 300. So on radial, so with respect to VORA, you are flying on a radial of 120 up to this point. At this point, when you change to VORB frequency, the radial you will be flying on will be radial 300, radial 300, but you will be flying inbound. So when flying inbound, the procedure is to put the reciprocal of that in the OBS so as to get two indication and normal sensing of CDI needle. If if at changeover point, along with changing the frequency from VORA to VORB, you change the radial OBS setting from 120 to 300. You put instead of 120, you change it to 300. You will get from indication instead of to, and the CDI indications will be respect to outbound radial, that is 300 radial, or you're flying inbound. So if you put 300 and still fly inbound, the sensing will be reverse sensing, so that is wrong. Okay, so in this case, they have not given any information about reverse sensing or anything. They simply tell you that you switch from one frequency to the next frequency. So the CDI indication will still remain right hand side, because if you continue like this, the bearing is to your right hand side. So CDI will stay like that. From will become 2. That's it. So with this very simple sum, we come to the end of this lecture. I hope you have understood this 3 questions very well. Keep practicing these questions. Keep practicing the previous questions from previous videos also. Okay, it's just because you are able to solve a particular question one time, two time. Don't leave it or don't ignore it. Keep practicing and keep practicing questions from other resources as well. UR, ADF, RMI questions are very important. Tricky in the beginning. As you keep practicing, you will get hold over it. So all the best, keep learning, and I will see you in the next video.